Every year, approximately 2,500 babies will die from sudden infant death syndrome, which is also known as SIDS. SIDS is a mystery because no one can figure out what exactly SIDS is and what's the cause of it. In this speech, I hope to inform you all about what SIDS is, ways it is caused, and ways to prevent it. So SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome, as I stated earlier, and it was first defined in 1969. It can also be called cot death or crib death. SIDS gets its names because it's when infants suddenly die, and it usually occurs when they're under the age of 1 and when they're sleeping. Warren G. Gunthroth states that in the journal Theories of Cardiovascular Causes in Sudden Infant Death Syndrome that the peak rate for SIDS is normally between the second and third month of life. No one really knows exactly what causes SIDS. No one's found a true cause for it yet, but they have found a couple theories. One theory is from David T. Megg and Mariah Donner, and in this they quoted J.L. Emery in an article from the 2009 International Journal of Pediatrics, a unifying theory for SIDS, and in this they stated three interrelated causal spheres of influence model, which consists of a subclinical tissue damage, deficiency, and postnatal development of responses and reflexes, and environmental factors. Another theory by J.J. Flino and H.C. Kinney in the 2009 International Journal of Pediatrics, they say that it's caused by a triple risk model, which requires the infant to be in a very vulnerable state, critical development period, or have environmental stressors. Some environmental stressors would be having the infant sleep on their stomach or side, having the baby be overheated, the room being either too hot, or having their swaddle be too tight, or their blanket that they're in, or having them be exposed to tobacco, such as like smoking. Some good ways to prevent SIDS would be having a child less than 1 year old sleep on their back. This is proved to be the most effective way. Another one would be having the bedroom or bed close to the parents, so you could either have the crib in the room or sleep in there with the child. That's way so you're keeping an eye on your child, so you know that you hear them if they're struggling or if they need something, because you never want them to feel neglected. With what I do with my son, I actually sleep in his room. I have a monitor, but I would rather sleep in there so I can check up on him and make sure he's breathing, especially since he's 2 months now. Another one would be to not have loose bedding in the crib with them when they're sleeping. Like, you can have a fitted sheet, but don't have a loose sheet because they can get caught up in that. Don't have animals in there, like stuffed animals. Don't have a quilt in there. Definitely do not have a bumper on the inside, because if they are sleeping on their back and they eventually flip over to their side on accident, they can get their face cut up against the bumper and suffocate. So that's a no-go. Another one would be to make sure the room is in a cool environment. You don't want it to be too cool that it's freezing, but you also don't want it to be too hot that you're overheating the baby. So you need to find a nice, cool temperature. Another one is the use of a pacifier. It is recommended by E.M. Mitchell and P.S. Blair and M.P. Lahore in the 2006 Journal of Pediatrics with the article title of Should Pacifiers Be Recommended for Sudden Infant Death. They did a study on this, and they didn't say why it was recommended, but they just said babies who've used pacifiers less likely died from SIDS than ones who didn't. Another one is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding does wonders for babies, and it helps prevent SIDS because their systems are being nourished more correctly. The breast milk is nourishing them, and it's helping develop their lungs and every other parts of their body. And lastly, to limit the exposure to tobacco. Tobacco is just not good for infants because it can make the development of their lungs slower, and you don't want that to happen. You want their lungs to be strong and effective. So this is a very serious subject, and it should not be taken lightly by anyone. I know most of you don't have kids right now, and you probably won't be having them for a while, but it's good to know about this because you probably do have nieces and nephews or soon to be. So it's good to know about this to help prevent it and save infants because it is getting to be a thing and you can never be too careful. All right. Thank you.